Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the PokerNews Podcast. This is hands down the most exciting week of 2020. Some people might think it's because of Christmas, but since we have Jeff Platt on the show, we don't want to veer too much onto the side of the great holiday of Christmas. Obviously, it's because we are about to hit that World Series of Poker Main Event 2020 final table US version / also the international versus US players. Chad and I are headed to see Jeff Platt this weekend. I absolutely cannot wait. It's been way too long. Chad and I just saw each other recently, so I really don't care about seeing Chad, obviously. But Chad, you're excited to go to Vegas for lots of reasons.
Yeah, I am excited not only for the WSOP final table. I've been interviewing a lot of these finalists. We're going to talk to some of them here on the podcast today. Chip leader Joseph Hebert, got in touch with him. We also got Yuan, goes by Tony Yuan. Funny story, it turns out he's just down the road from me here in Wisconsin. He's a student at UW-Madison. Spoke with Gershon Distenfeld, who has a very interesting plan for his winnings that I think everybody's going to like. And then, of course, Upeshka De Silva, 3-time bracelet winner. Chatted with all of them. We're going to get to those later in the show. But aside from the WSOP, I'm very excited about my Vegas trip because my Miami Dolphins are going to Las Vegas to play the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, I can't go to the game because they're not allowing fans into the stadium, which is a shame. But this is a Saturday night prime time game. Dolphins don't get a lot of those, so I'm going to find a nice little, sports book or a bar or something to watch this game because it's big for the Dolphins. They need to win to keep their playoff hopes alive, and so I am certainly excited about that. And then, of course, you toss in the little StakeKings.com stuff that I like to do. That's pretty exciting. And with the holidays here, Stake Kings has it going on. Stake Kings wants to make your holidays a little more interesting by giving away up to $10,000 in their NFL Pick'em Challenge starting on Christmas Day. Now, the objective of the game is simple. It's just select who you think will be the winners against the point spread in Week 16 of the NFL. I will, of course, be picking the Miami Dolphins, and it is completely free to enter, and registration for this ends at 3 o'clock p.m. Eastern time on December 25th. That's Christmas Day. Head on over to StakeKings.com, make your picks, and you could win $10,000, which is coincidentally the buy-in for the World Series of Poker main event that you could apply maybe next year. Just saying.
Chad, now you hail from the great state of Wisconsin, which everyone knows that I love. Wisconsin actually has a very good football team already right inside of it. Lots of people root for this football team. I believe they are cheeseheads, the fans. And I have never fully understood, or maybe at least you could give our audience the backstory behind where you decided to root for the Miami Dolphins. Is it Ace Ventura?
No, it's not. It was before that, and I'll make it real quick. Basically, when we were kids, me and my group of friends decided we wanted to get into football. Nobody wanted to like the Packers because back in those days, the Packers were a really, really bad team, one of the worst in the NFL. This was before Brett Favre. Don Mikowski was your quarterback. So we're like, we're going to just stay away from the Packers. And we proceeded to pick favorite players. I got Dan Marino, hence the Miami Dolphins love and connection. Now, don't get me wrong. I still like my Packers. They're my favorite NFC team. And in my dream world, it would be Miami Dolphins at Green Bay Packers Super Bowl one of these years. And, that's the hope. But of course, in that game, I'm always going with the Dolphins.
Sarah's a big Don Mikowski fan.
Huge. I was just like, it was such a shame to hear you even throw his name out like that. It just really hurt.
Very disrespectful.
But okay, so here's my thoughts on things. So Jeff has a very short window of time. We all know he's very famous and has a lot of busy scheduled things to attend to.
Hey, Sarah, he was just named one of the breakout stars of 2020 by pocketfives.com. I read the article. He was in some very elite company. Congratulations on that, Jeff.
Well, thank you. It must have been a typo by the good people at Pocket Fives. Very flattered to be among such elite company. And Chad, I mean, up top was Bruno Bataillon, Artur Martirosyan, and some online poker sickos. And I think it's safe to say they probably modeled their game after mine. So it kind of makes sense that I would be on a list with those guys.
I didn't see this article, this is probably not a surprise. I've been on vacation for a week, and also I'm just pretty much always on vacation. But Jeff, that makes total sense. And actually, I would have thought you were the breakout star also of 2019. So I feel like people are a little late to the party. Like I picked up on you like years ago.
You were first in the poker world, Sarah. You were my first chat.
I knew you were the guy. I knew it. But anyways, that being said, we are of course going to talk about the World Series of Poker main event final table. We're going to do a little preview for you, give you guys a little taste of who these players are, what we can expect, what we're looking at coming up just after this weekend. And Jeff, I'm sure, has a lot of insights into that. But before we get into that, just in case we have to lose Jeff, I'm pretty sure that Chad and I can handle the final table preview on our own. I want to talk a little bit about this Hall of Fame action. I am super excited. Usually the World Series of Poker main event and the Hall of Fame sort of announcements go hand in hand all summer long. We're kind of debating. I think it's always like a hot topic to discuss. And I have to you guys tell me what you think. This year's candidates are fucking awesome. This is like the best list ever. I'm like totally torn. I think every single person on this list is like so badass and so deserved. Chad, I know that you of course have lots of opinions. Jeff, I want to start with you first. What do you think? And how did we get this just amazing list this year?
Yeah, I think it's a pretty stacked list, of course. And there's one name that stands out to you is like, okay, I kind of hope this guy does not get in, and that would be Chris Ferguson. If you were to just look at strictly his poker resume, you'd be like, okay, cool. He probably belongs in the Hall of Fame. He certainly deserves to be among the list of nominees. As far as everybody else goes, Sarah, you said, I mean, we have Patrick Antonius, Elliot Lesra, Antonio Esfandiari, Ted Forrest, Mike Madison, Matt Savage, Isai Scheinberg getting in the mix as far as finalists are concerned, Huck Seed, and then the duo of Lon McCarron and Norman Chad as one entry into the Poker Hall of Fame. There will just be one person, or I guess one duo, elected into the Poker Hall of Fame this year. I think Isai has done so much for the game when you consider the backstory with PokerStars and everything that they have done. Although, again, Sarah, to your point, I really don't think it's going to be hard to go wrong this year. I think Lon McCarron and Norman Chad, I mean, listen, they're the voices of poker. They've been the voices of poker for almost 20 years. So they're going to get in eventually. It's just, I think most of these guys are going to get in eventually. But Isai, I think, is at the top of my list. But what say you, Mr. Holloway, the poker historian, Chad Holloway?
I do have a lot of thoughts. Let me start by saying the Chris Ferguson thing, right? So yeah, if you're looking based on resume strictly, he deserves a nomination. But by that same accord, I would make the argument that Men the Master Win also would deserve it. And he's only been nominated once for the Poker Hall of Fame. And I believe that was way back in the late 2000s. So we're talking quite a long time ago. You know, Men Win has 7 bracelets, Chris Ferguson 6. And with both of those guys, so if you're looking at the bracelet count, out of the top 12 players, all top 12 in the bracelet accounts, according to WSOP.com, but 2 are in the Poker Hall of Fame. And those 2 are, of course, Men the Master Win and Chris Ferguson. So that said, I don't think, he's going to get in this year. This year, Sarah, I agree. The list is absolutely stacked. I think this is the most impressive finalist list the World Series of Poker Hall of Fame, or the Poker Hall of Fame rather, by the WSOP has ever had. Very excited to see all these names. It's kind of a shame that they went back to just inducting one person because all of these people deserve it. It would be great to get 2 of those in. And it's interesting because this year they've also done away with the media vote. I used to have a vote in this. I don't this year. It would have been interesting. I don't know where I would have put my votes. Isai Scheinberg, of course, would have gotten some. I'm very excited that he is on the list and finally gets that recognition. Now, whether or not he gets in, I don't know. I've been monitoring the Twitter chat, if you will, between the current Poker Hall of Fame members. Those are the ones who get the vote. There's 31 living members. They're the only ones who are going to vote. So Eric Seidel has put out some of his thoughts. Chris Moneymaker, rather, Phil Hellmuth, even Doyle chimed in, basically saying, responding to Eric Seidel's tweet that he was going to give Isai Scheinberg some votes. Like, why? Doyle didn't necessarily understand. So I don't know. It's hard to gauge. My thinking right now are the favorites to get in are probably either Huck Seed, Ted Forrest, or Elliot Lesra. They are the old school kind of cash game grinders, really well known amongst the Poker Hall of Famers. I think Isai might have an outside shot. I know Daniel Negreanu is, I wouldn't be surprised if he put all 10 of his votes that he gets to allocate straight to Isai Scheinberg. Moneymaker, I'm sure, did too, since he has that PokerStars connection. So it's hard to say. I think that those guys are the favorites. I'd be shocked if it's anybody else. But that said, Patrick Antonius, Lon and Norman Chad, Esfandiari, everybody on this list, Matt Savage, they all deserve the Poker Hall of Fame. It's just going to be interesting to see which one of them gets in this year. And kudos to them to include Lon McEachern and Norman Chad. As a pair, I think it's the right move. It would be awkward if one of them were to get in on their own and the other didn't. And a lot of these people on this list, a lot of people in the Poker Hall of Fame, at least the more modern versions, owe a lot to Lon and Chad and Norman Chad because of their ESPN commentary, because they helped mint these superstars in the public realm, in the public eye. If it wasn't for those guys on the call in the WSOP broadcast, especially in the early days, I don't think a lot of the players would be at the level that they are now.
I definitely think this would be a year where 2, of course, would be fantastic. And I think it's for exactly a lot of the reasons that we've talked about. I think Matt Savage, we've spoken about year after year after year as being super, super qualified, but just in this sort of other category, right? Not as much as a player. And the same, I think, with Isai Scheinberg. If we could maybe do which we always talk about, induct like a non-player and a player at the same time. And these players, I mean, half of them read like the sort of cast of high stakes poker, the high stakes poker that I think made a lot of people my age at least fall in love with the game to begin with. And like any one of them would be super qualified. I was definitely thinking with Elia Lezer's book coming out last year, and there's definitely I feel like as a career type move, like once you've written your autobiography, you're more like, next item on the docket, check off the list. But you guys can, of course, keep track of all of this action on pokernews.com. We will let you know as we figure out exactly who this person will ultimately end up being, and who knows what we will return to Hall of Fame wise next year. But speaking of the man that is Matt Savage, Chad, we've got a pretty awesome opportunity as it correlates to the World Poker Tour, if I understand that.
That's right. So this Sunday, the World Poker Tour is holding a main event online. It's a $3,500 WPT online poker open main event on Party Poker US. So you actually have to be in New Jersey, but this is going to be a massive event. There's $1 million guarantee on it. It's going to run from Sunday, December 27th. It's going to last until the 29th. So it's a 3-day event. Poker News is giving away a seat into this main event. So if you're either in New Jersey or you would like to be in New Jersey to play this, you can enter our giveaway. It's very simple. You can go on Poker News right now. There's an article. We'll link it in the show notes as well that explain exactly what you need to do. Basically, you can either nominate somebody or have somebody nominate you and tell us why you deserve or they deserve to play this event. It can be any sort of story, and you just use a hashtag on social media, on Twitter, hashtag GiveWPT, tag Poker News. We're going to compile all the entries and select one winner. Now, this is only open until the end of day on Christmas Day, right? Just like the State Kings pick'em that we mentioned. You have until the end of Christmas to either make a nomination or get yourself nominated by somebody else. And at that time, we will go through and we will select a winner who will get a $3,500 seat into this WPT main event on Party Poker US. It's really that simple. You can either write a story, write your nomination, or you can do a video, you can send pictures, whatever. There's no strict criteria. It's just make a nomination, we will consider it, and we're going to select a winner to give this hashtag GiveWPT gift and have their shot at what is likely to be a more than $1 million prize pool, but is guaranteed to be $1 million. So it's going to be a big event. And I don't know, I'm very excited. I hope people will get on there, make a nomination of somebody you think is deserving to play this event. There's no catch. You don't have to enter anything, give any information. It's just make a nomination, and we are going to select one lucky winner to play this tournament.
I nominate Jeff. He is one of the hottest people of 2020, from what I understand, according to Pocket Fives.
That's exactly what they said.
And
Jeff, Is Jeff ready to hop a plane and get over to New Jersey so he can fire this thing?
I mean, for a 3,500 $1 million guarantee, if I didn't have to be stuck with you folks covering the WSOP main event final table on the 28th, I would have been happy to jump on a plane, but that's going to interfere slightly with those plans.
Okay, I unnominate Jeff. Let me think.
Okay, thank
else.
you.
I already knew Chad would be with me. I'll
counts.
think of someone else. We'll nominate someone soon. Okay, well, I really want to get into some talk about these players who we're going to be looking at, sort of our expectations, who we think has the best chance of winning this thing. And before we get into that, though, I want to take a quick break and hear from our sponsors, Natural 8. Winter is coming to Natural 8, Asia's biggest online poker room. This Christmas and New Year, the hunt for WSOP glory continues with the WSOP Winter Online Circuit. Boasting a massive $100 million guarantee, there will be 18 official WSOP rings to be won. Make sure you choose Natural 8 as your preferred online poker platform, and you could win bonus WSOPC live event sponsorships. There are 3 tiers to the sponsorships you can win, ranging from $5,000 all the way up to $50,000. You could also become an ambassador for Natural 8. To find out more, visit the website at www.natural8.com and download the app now to start playing. Also, don't forget about the first deposit bonus. Natural 8 is offering a massive bonus to any player looking to make a deposit for the very first time on their website. Deposits are matched by 200%, so that's plenty of bang for your buck. Deposit $30 to get a bonus of $60. Deposit $100 to get a bonus of $200. You get the drift. If instant rewards are more your thing, you can also opt to receive $100 in cash and free tickets right away. All you have to do is deposit a minimum of $20. It's really that simple. Visit the Natural 8 website at www.natural8.com for more information and download the app now to kickstart your online poker journey. Well, Chad has been on the MFing grind all weekend. Mama's been, in Colorado having Christmas time. Lord knows Jeff was probably chonicking it up all week. I don't know what he was doing. But Chad has been on the grind, getting as many interviews with these WSOP final tablists as he could get. And I'm super grateful. They're, just the right amount of time, just like a nice solid 10 minutes with a lot of these guys. So our chip leader, in fact, Chad, you talked to Joseph, and I think before we get into the interview, we have to talk at least a little bit about how many more chips he has than everyone else.
Yeah, it's pretty big distribution difference between first, which is, Joseph Hebert. He's got 13 million, just a hair over. Next closest competition sits with 5.2 million, and then it goes down from there. So he is the clear chip leader. That said, we have seen chip leaders at the WSOP main event final table not win it. And, famously, there was Philip Hilm, who was the chip leader going in and the first one out. So anything can happen at the final table, as we know, but certainly the early favorite is Joseph Hebert, and he's got one of the better stories at this final table, at least as far as I've been able to suss out. He was in Vegas over the summer to play the WSOP.com bracelet events. He was roommates with Michael Leck, who, if you recall, won a bracelet, right? Michael Leck kind of went viral in his tweet where it showed him dancing after he won his tournament, which I believe was event number 13, was a high roller. So the very next day, Joseph Hebert doesn't win. He goes deep in event number 14, a 3,200 high roller, but ends up busting in 37th place. And he ends up texting his mother back home in Louisiana about how he came close. He one day would like to win a bracelet, and his mom had some very encouraging and kind words to say. And it ended up being the last time he communicated with his mom, who passed away 3 days later, quite unexpectedly. I won't get into that too much here. He's going to tell you a little bit about that in the interview, but he is playing for his mother, as we say, hashtag for Linda. There's an article on PokerNews.com there. I really lay out the situation and give you a look at the man that is the chip leader of the WSOP. But in the meantime, here is the interview with Joseph Hebert. All right, I am joined by a very special guest, the chip leader at the World Series of Poker main event final table, big chip leader, one Joseph Hebert, goes by kolebear online. Thanks for taking the time to talk with Poker News, and congrats, man. How does it feel to be the chip leader at the main event final table?
Thanks, Chad. I really appreciate it. It's overwhelmingly amazing. I can't even explain the way I feel right now. I haven't been sleeping much. It's been tough. I wake up every day thinking I'm dreaming. So
Yeah.
it's been pretty tough, but I'm so excited and so ready. This is my passion, which is poker, and I'm just ready to make everybody proud and bring home the bracelet. So
well, we'll talk more about the final table here in a little bit, but let's talk about it. You said poker is your passion. Tell us a little bit about when you learned the game, or how did you get into poker in the first place?
I started playing poker actually in the summers. My grandparents used to have all the kids and all the grandkids over at the house, and we used to play all kind of board games, and we used to play, hearts and chess, and we used to play all kind of stuff like that. And poker just became one of my passions back then, and it just kind of followed me all the way through high school and then a little bit through college. And I love the game, and I just had a really humbling experience throughout it, in the later years, because at first I thought it was just ABC poker. You just waited till you got the good hands, and that's how you went. That's just how it worked. But then I started to realize there was a lot more to it than just that. So
we talked off the air a little bit about a New Orleans connection, because I went to law school down there, and we both played at Harrah's in New Orleans quite a bit. And I remember back in the day playing at Harrah's in like 2007, and it was, like you just said, like very ABC poker. And it was very easy to win back then. If you knew what you were doing and just
exactly.
ABC poker, you could win. And the game now, 13 years later, so much different. And then also for this main event was special because it was the online hybrid. And so you needed to have some online poker skills as well, which obviously you did. And now you've got to transition to the live play portion of it at the final table. Are you feeling comfortable with making that transition from the online part to the live part?
My live part, I feel is better than my online part. I transitioned a lot because of COVID to the online part, and being from New Orleans, we don't really have an online stream, but I have played online before as well. And actually, it's crazy. I played online this summer in July for the series as well. So it was pretty amazing. So.
And you played the tournament from Las Vegas, and we talked off the air also, like, you're in Las Vegas now. As soon as you made the final table, you said you found a place to stay. You're going to bubble, quarantine yourself, and flew out your son in your, was it your fiance?
Fiance, yes, Victoria, yeah.
And
I flew them out on Thursday. They came in Thursday night. It's my son's first time flying, and it's his first time to Vegas, and he gave the flight a 5 for 5 because he got to see the strip at night, to see the strip over the plain view. So it was pretty awesome for me for him to experience this, and I just can't wait to get there on the 28th. So.
And you said your son's 8 years old?
He's 8.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. He's 8. His name's Cole. That's where the kolebear comes from, because that's his nickname is kolebear. So.
Nice. It's a good screen name. Obviously, a very lucky one. And
so.
What's the I like to ask you guys who are in a very unique situation now with COVID that's going on, and it's got to be something that's kind of on everybody's mind, right? Because if you test positive for COVID, it could all come crumbling down. Yeah, exactly. And so is that a worry of yours at all? And
it's what's even more worrisome is a lot of my friends are back home are testing positive right now, and I just had a friend just text me just now from Fort Lauderdale, and he's positive as well. So it's pretty scary, and so we're just bubbling down up in this house, and we're gonna get food delivered. I can't even get a haircut, so it's gonna be pretty fun. It's gonna be crazy, it's a crazy world out there right now. So I'm glad to get this opportunity to be at this final table, and it's gonna be the 2 days before it's gonna be nuts being in the house by myself. I mean, being in the hotel by myself for 2 days, but I'm looking forward to it. So.
Well, it's definitely unique, but it sounds like you're taking the right precautions. Let's talk about the final table real quick. It was pretty wild. We were doing updates. I was doing updates for Poker News, and the rundown from about the final 2 tables to making the final table was you eliminating a lot of players, right? You chipped up, and you're coming into the final table with just over 13 million, and your next closest opponents are right around 5 million, and then the other 6 players are below that. I mean, you got to be feeling good coming in with a nice chip lead like that, right?
It actually is all a blur the whole day. I texted my fiance in the morning talking about, if I make this final table, I want to do something for families and kids for Christmas. And all of a sudden the next day I'm chip leader in the main event. It was just a run that I just can't even imagine how it happened. I started off 42 of 71 for day 2, and I was in the back of the pack. I didn't get in hands. I didn't play very much, and I was in the back of the pack the whole day. And then I was 24 of 26, and all of a sudden I'm chip leader of the main event. I wake up and I thought it was all a dream. Like it was everything just went right for me. So
Yeah.
it was an epic journey. I have to say that. So
That's awesome. Hopefully it continues in the live portion. Now, are you familiar with any of the other players at the final table? Did you know any of them beforehand or anything?
I mean, I've the only one was Pash, and he's the only one I really knew of. That's the only one I'm really familiar with. And that's about that. That was the only guy that was there that I remember.
Now, we're obviously quarantining between now and the final table, spending some time with family. Are you going to be doing anything else to prepare, taking any studying? Or are you just going to try to relax I'm
going to relax. We have a hot tub outside. So we got that. I got a yoga mat out there too, as well. So I'm going to be doing a lot of that. We went to the mountains yesterday for the first time for them. It was the first time I ever got to go. I'll probably be doing a lot of studying this week as well. I'll probably play a couple games on WSOP.com just to keep the focus. I shall be studying some final tables as well, and that's about it.
Yeah, it's exciting. I mean, there's a lot of money on the line. You're guaranteed basically 100,000, but there's 1.5 million up top, and then of course if you win it, you get to play for the bracelet and the extra $1 million. Now, obviously this is life-changing money on the line, and is it something that you've thought about, or you're trying to put out of your mind at this point?
It's something I'm trying to put out of my mind. I told my fiance the other day, and I said that I just want to go in and think of it as a home game, and just not even worry about the money at all, because I mean, you just can't. You have to focus and just play your game, and that's the main thing I have to do, and that's what I'm looking to do as well. So.
Well, man, I am very excited for you. I'm going to be in Vegas at the final table. I'll be doing updates for PokerNews, so I'll get a front row view of you competing up there. And I wish you the best of luck, man. I hope you can bring it home.
I thank you so much, Chad. I also want to say something about the summer this summer in Vegas. My roommate Mike Leck, he actually won a bracelet this summer. Yeah. So I was there. I got to see. We got to celebrate. It was so much fun. And on the way home, the next day I satellited into the 3,200, and I was chip leader with 50 people left, and I wound up getting some unfortunate stuff. I wound up getting 34th in that one. And so the next day I flew home. Not the next day, I think the 25th. I flew home, and I texted my mom. She was so excited for me to be home. She was always excited. And I texted her that Mike. I sent her some videos of Mike doing his dances because she loved to see it. And I texted her and I said, man, one day I wish I could win a bracelet. It's just something I've always dreamed of. And I just don't know how many more chances I'm going to have to do that, And she texted me back and she said, I keep hoping and praying what will be. And, things will work out. And that was our last text. She passed away 3 days later. So, this is all for her. And it's a hashtag for Linda. That's my mom's name. So I just want everybody to know that. So
I really appreciate you sharing that, man. And I think it's very special, and it seems very fitting. Here you are at the final table and possibly making that dream come true. And
I felt her there too on day 2. I just felt her, she was always my rock. So I really appreciate making this very easy, Chad.
Yeah, I appreciate you sharing that. And with Michael Leck, if your buddy's with him, that's a good man to draw some knowledge off of.
Yeah, he is. He's a very good guy as well. So he's awesome, man. He really is. Good guy.
All right, man. Well, good luck come the final table. I'll see you in Vegas, and I'll be pulling for you.
Thanks, Chad. Appreciate it.
Wow. It never ceases to amaze me that I feel like at every final table, there's someone with some really, really epic story that's just so easy to root for. And I am, of course, really excited to meet him and to see this whole thing play out. Coming in second in chips, we have Shawn Shades 927 Stroke. a lot of these players, we just have, whatever data we can really like suss out, hand and mob for the most part. But, Jeff went out there and dug deep to try to find some profiles for you guys. What are your thoughts on Shawn, Jeff?
Well, we know it's Shawn's 13th World Series of Poker cash, his second World Series of Poker final table. He finished second in a $365 online event a couple years ago in 2018 for about $94,000. Watching him as we got down to a final table, he's quirky, he's different, he mixes in like really small betting sizes and then we'll go really big. He's interesting to look out for, mainly because of that chip disparity that you guys mentioned. So we have Joseph Hebert at 13 million, then a huge fall off to Shawn, Stroke and Hags at about 5 million, Tony Yuan as well. There are a couple really short stacks around the 2 million mark, and I think that will probably handcuff the Shawn Strokes, the Ryan Hagertys, the Tony Yuans of the world, considering the pay jumps that we have. We're entering this with everybody guaranteed about $100,000 for ninth. The payouts shoot up to $1.5 million to first. So when we start with a 26K pay jump, then a 40K pay jump, then a 50K pay jump, I think, and Chad, correct me if you think I'm wrong, I think Hebert is going to just have complete control and he can just really run everybody over. So it might be hard, even though like you're second in chips and it sounds amazing, it might be hard for guys like Stroke and Hagerty to do that much.
Yeah, I expect him to apply quite a bit of pressure, but it's important to note that if Hebert were to double up any of the next like 4 players, he would fall out of the chip lead and they would move into it. So he does have to be careful to a certain degree. But yeah, I do think with his chip lead and with the ICM implications, we are going to see some pressure exerted. Now that said, looking down at the bottom half of the stacks, the bottom 3 guys are lagging behind by quite a bit. They might come in and say, you know what, I'm just gonna go with it. I'm gonna try to gamble it up and do some damage. And we've certainly seen that in the past. Martin Jakobsen was one in 2014. He went from the short stack and worked his way up and applied a lot of pressure, put the pedal to the metal, and ended up winning the whole thing. So anything's possible. I'm certainly excited to see what could happen. Shawn Stroke, who I've reached out to, I haven't heard anything back yet, but hoping to at least get an interview with him to do an article on Poker News. And Ryan Hagerty are sitting neck and neck in chips in second and third place, respectively. Now, we interviewed Ryan Hagerty in last week's Poker News podcast. So if you really want to hear more about him, I highly recommend you go back, check that out, listen to what he has to say. I like Hagerty's chances quite a bit, just given that he is a very experienced player. He's an online grinder in New Jersey. He plays almost everything, but he's also had success in the live realm. He's a WPT Deep Stacks champion from 2019. He's just one of those players who has been on the ascent in the poker world for a little while. And it's pretty interesting because he wasn't going to play the main event. He tweeted out that he wasn't going to play, but got some FOMO, some fear of missing out. And so decided to sell 50% of his action at 1.2 markup. And he said, if anyone wants to gamble, let me know. And obviously some people did want to gamble, and it is going to pay off because he's making these investors some money. And he's got a shot here. Like I said, sitting third in chips. I wouldn't be surprised if at the end of the day, he's the last player standing, but only time will tell.
And Sarah, one quick note before we get to Tony Yuan, and I think you'll like this. According to the WSOP's website, and I don't know if y'all have heard different, the blinds will start at 100,000, 200,000, which means that those bottom 3 stacks that Chad was talking about really just have around 10 big blinds. That also means that number 2 to 4 range really just have around 25 bigs or so. So I expect this final table to move pretty quick. Sarah, I know you've covered some marathon final tables back in your day. I do not think that this will be one of those.
Oh, sweet baby Jesus. Mama likey. Mama likey what you're talking about.
Now the heads up day with my guy, Damian Salas, could take decades to complete, but the final table might go pretty quick.
Oh my gosh, you're so right. And it's also just more fun poker to watch, in my opinion. Of course, deep stack poker can be very interesting depending on who's playing. But, for when you've got 9 players sitting down at the table, I think it's like infinitely more fun and exciting to watch players who are looking down at 10 big blinds and 25 big blinds. For the most part, you get to have a little sweat here and there, keep you alive, keep you awake. So let's talk when I was looking at all of the names, I recognized quite a few, actually. I was semi-surprised, I guess, and excited to recognize some of the name, Ryan Hagerty being one of them. Now, Yuan, I did not recognize this name at all. And yet, lo and behold, him and Chad are basically neighbors.
It's interesting. So I got the contact information for him from WSOP.com, and there's a phone number with the area code 608, which is South Central Wisconsin, my area code. And so I was immediately like, what's going on here? And I reached out, and sure enough, he is a 25-year-old student at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. So just down the road from me, that's where I went. He is getting his PhD in mathematics and probability. He's originally from China. He's been here in Wisconsin since about 2017. And he loves poker. You know, he's fallen in love with poker. He doesn't have a ton of results, you know, like we said, kind of an unknown, but he did just win a small tournament at the Venetian. He sent me the winner's photo of that. That was back in September. So he was pretty excited about that. And I don't know, it's just, maybe it's the hometown connection for me, but I really felt a connection with Tony Yuan, and I'm kind of rooting for him at the final table. And you know, he was kind enough to do his first, he said it was his first interview really ever with us here at Poker News, and here's what he had to say. All right, I am with our next guest, sitting fourth at the final table in chips, one Tony Yuan. You are in Madison, Wisconsin right now, which is not too far from me. I was very happy to discover you're a UW-Madison student.
Oh yeah, I'm a PhD student in mathematics here.
And you said you're originally from China, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
So how long have you been studying at the University of Wisconsin-Madison?
Since 2016.
And tell me a little bit, you know, how you're a PhD student from China. How did you find poker?
That's a long story. I've been playing poker since I was a child, like 13 or 14 years old, but that was using play chips, of course. I didn't use any probability at that time. I didn't know what the odds were to draw flush. I just trust my feelings. It was until I came to the US since 16, and I saw the big successes of Fedor Holz. He was very young, he was talented, and he was the best at the time. I mean, he is still one of the best. And so I was thinking, I'm studying probability. So if he can do it, why not me?
And now here you are, you're at the final table of the World Series of Poker Main Event. Where did you play this? Because you had to be either in New Jersey or in Nevada. Which one did you go to?
I went to Las Vegas.
Okay. And you know, how does it feel to play 2 long days online, and here you are going to be playing for the you know, for the big money and maybe the bracelet at the final table?
I still can't believe it. I don't know how I made it, but somehow, I mean, I was quite lucky to have some big hands. But,
do you recall, was there like one big hand that really, you know, were you all in and behind and got lucky, or did you pick up aces against kings?
I did flip one coin when I was shorter. When I was the short stack, and I had fucking nines. My opponent has ace jack offsuit, and luckily I won that.
Very nice.
That's the closest one.
Right. And so you're at the final table. Are your friends, family, you know, are they aware that you're at the final table? Are they excited for you?
Yeah, my friends are fully aware of that. Some of them might be coming to Vegas.
Are they poker players as well?
Yes, that's my poker fellows.
And you know, I'm from Wisconsin as well. I've seen that you've played live a little bit before. You've been out to Vegas before, and you've played at Potawatomi. Are you comfortable with going from online play to live play for this final table?
Actually, I'd say that I'm a live guy. So I think my live play is better than online play. I can read people's.
Yeah, you'll get the opportunity to do that face to face with these guys. Now, it's kind of a crazy world we're living in with the pandemic. Are you being careful right now not to you know, go out and because if you end up testing positive for COVID, of course, you're not going to be able to play. Is that something that you're thinking about?
Yeah, I'm very concerned about that. So with so much money on the line, I don't want to risk anything. So,
Yeah. And so what's the plan after this final table? Or do you want to try to play more poker? Are you just going to stay focused on getting your PhD? What's the plan for Tony Yuan in the future?
As you can see, I play like 1 month in a year for the past. So I think this really depends on how far I go in the final table. And if I go very deep, I might try poker as full-time or 50% of my time. Otherwise, I think I might continue my degree.
Well, there you go. And you are, a UW student. There have been a lot of very successful people in the poker world who went to UW. I went to UW-Madison myself, but far more successful, Phil Galfond, Phil Hellmuth, and now here we've got another one in yourself at the final table. It's pretty exciting.
Yeah, and there's also one another very good player from China that he missed the final table in 2018. The Kings versus Aces.
That's right.
He was from the same university. He's also from Madison.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. There's obviously a strong poker community in Wisconsin here, and as a Wisconsin guy myself, I'll be rooting for you. I hope you do really well at the final table. I will be out there in Vegas doing the updates for Poker News, and so I'll get to meet you in person here in about a week.
Okay, I'm excited to meet you.
And good luck at the final table, Tony. It's very exciting, and I hope you do well.
Thank you so much.
Well, just behind Tony Yuan in chips at 4.4 million, we have Michael Cannon, who it looks like his best score on Hendon Mob is 184, almost 185,000. So not too, total maybe? Maybe
yeah,
Jeff can just tell you guys 184. But so that's, that's like nothing to blink at. What do people say? I don't know. Seems like he's a
sneeze at, I believe.
Nothing to sneeze.
Yeah.
I don't even know what the hell I'm saying. But basically, essentially, he's a poker player. Is that what we can garner? He knows.
Yeah, he's a poker player, and he's also a gamer, like maybe a professional gamer at one point in his career. He's won 5 Major League Gaming tournaments. I know, Sarah, you're a big Major League Gaming fan, so you could probably fill us in.
Wait, are we talking about like board games, or are we talking about video games?
I believe more video games. That's the esports rage. That's where he gets the poker screen name that he uses on WSOP.com, GENET1X _. I guess that's his gamer name, something of that sort. His best career score is 73K. Finished 9th at the main at WPT Borgata last year out of Pennsylvania. Started playing poker in 6th grade. He's a competitor, loves video games, loves poker. That's about what we know about Michael Cannon.
I've actually made contact with him.
Okay.
I asked him, if he wanted to do a little segment for the podcast here. He politely declined, and I understood why. He basically just said, he's not real comfortable with in-person interviews, gets a little anxiety, and right now he's understandably trying to avoid any extra stressors that he doesn't need to, and focus on the final table. I said, totally get it, especially since he was kind enough to offer to answer some questions, via email. And so I'm very hopeful that he's going to respond to me, and I'll be able to take those answers and do a sort of profile for pokernews.com. So maybe we'll get to know a little bit more about Michael Cannon. The next guy on the list, sitting sixth.
But did he say when he busts, he's ready to do like 40 interviews afterwards?
It's ready.
I just want to be clear about where he stands on interviews.
If he busts, maybe he doesn't, maybe, yeah. So I'm sure he'll be open to it, but we'll have to wait and see. I know somebody who will be open to interviews, and he was one of my favorites, is Gershon Distenfeld, sitting 6th in chips, goes by Jets 613. He's a Jets fan, but despite that, he was still a great guy. He's very personable. He is, he's a businessman with a family. He is 44 years old. He turns 45 on December 30th. So if he were to make it to the heads up portion, it would actually be his birthday. just a very personable guy. He's done a lot of interviews in the past in his professional realm, which is, kind of like I said, being a businessman. He's involved with, I don't know if it's the markets or what have you, but he is very well versed. He was a fun interview, and he let us know what he plans to do with the money, which I thought was very, very, very interesting. But let's talk about that on the flip side of the interview. Here's what Gershon Distenfeld had to say. All right, I am with our next World Series of Poker main event guest, a finalist, one of the final 9 coming in to the final table. 6th in chips is one Gershon Distenfeld, goes by Jets 613 online. So I'm going to just ask this as a Miami Dolphins fan right off the top. You're a Jets fan. Are you upset that they actually won this past Sunday?
Yeah, I guess it's always difficult to be upset when your team wins, but leave it to the Jets. They don't even know how to lose properly. They probably just blew the next 15 years. It's clear that Sam Darnold's not the answer. So it would have been nice to draft Trevor Lawrence. It was never a sure thing, just like in poker. Never a sure thing. It's never a sure thing in the NFL draft, but it certainly looks like that this kid is as close to a sure thing as you can get. So I guess I'm going to have to become a Jacksonville Jaguars fan over the last 2 weeks and hope the Jets don't win another game. But yeah, hate to say it, but I was a little disappointed that they won this week.
Well, as a Dolphins fan who our franchise was in search of a quarterback for a long, long time, I certainly feel the pain, but we're here for poker. People want to talk about poker. You're at the World Series of Poker main event final table. So let me ask, it's got to feel pretty damn good to be there, right?
Yeah, I've often dreamed about winning a World Series of Poker bracelet. I never in a million years thought I'd actually make the main event final table. I've never even played in the main event before. I do go out to Vegas usually for a week during the World Series of Poker, but to take off potentially a week or more just to play the main event, I never did. I figured I'd always wanted to play in 3 or 4 different tournaments, which I've done. So I've never even played the main event, and just to make the final table of the main event is just it's surreal. I'm not even sure it's fully sunk in yet.
I was doing some research prior to talking to you, and you're not a poker player. You're not a professional poker player, if you would. Like, that's not how you make your living. You're actually quite successful in the business world. Says you work for Alliance Bernstein, an asset management or a manager, and you're co-head of fixed income and director of credit, which is, it sounds certainly impressive. I don't know what all that entails, but it sounds like you're a very busy man with that, but you still find time to play poker as well, right?
Yeah, poker is definitely a hobby of mine. I don't have all the time in the world. I do much prefer playing in person than online, to be perfectly honest. I find time to play a few tournaments a year, not many. I have 4 kids that preoccupy most of my time. So again, I go out to Vegas every year, at least for the past several years, and have played again in 3 or 4 World Series of Poker events every year. And I play a couple of other tournaments. I go to the Borgata or Foxwoods, for a couple of days and play some tournaments, and I've cashed in a few. But yeah, it's not something I do a lot. I did play this year online in July in several of the bracelet events. I did cash in a couple there, because I guess I do dream often of winning a World Series of Poker bracelet. And look, I entered the main event here. Thought it was a one-time opportunity to do so. And I told my wife, "Yeah, are you going to come to Vegas with me when I make the final table?" And she laughed. But then I went into day 2 with 6th in chips, and the quants at my office actually calculated that I had a 39.3% chance of making it to the final table after day 1. So I guess I made those odds.
There you go. And I love it when the bracelet means so much to poker players. Obviously, it means a lot to you. And I know this because I was reading over the bio sheet that you provided to the World Series of Poker. And it says in there, you say, quote, "I am not in this for financial gain." And that, in fact, if any of the prize money you win, you have some plans for that. Can you share that with the listeners and viewers, what your plans are for the prize money, whatever it might be?
Yeah, I really am not in this for the money. It's really more for the competition, the challenge. I plan on donating all of my winnings, involved in a lot of philanthropic causes. And I'm going to donate every cent of my winnings to a variety of charities that I'm already involved in. I've designated already 4 charities that are each going to get 1/8 of my share of winnings. I'm going to identify some more. I plan on giving away, again, all of the winnings. So each of those charities that are going to share an eighth are going to get somewhere around 10,000 each if I finish in ninth, all the way up to about 285,000 each if I should win the whole thing, which hopefully I will.
I think that's absolutely incredible. I'm sure a lot of other people are going to feel the same way. It's going to be hard not to make you like a fan favorite when you're, when you're playing for charity, of course. And that's just, unprecedented in the poker world. And a lot of people donate portions to charity, but to donate 100% from main event winnings is certainly incredible and, very, very kind of you to do. And, especially, given the holiday season is upon us and things like that, I just think it's pretty incredible. And like I said, it's a testament to just why you play poker, for the competition and for the bracelet. And, if you were to win this domestic portion, which means you would get the chance to go on and play Damian Salas, who is the winner of the international portion for the bracelet and an additional 1 million. Would you feel confident in your heads up game going against a player like Damian Salas, who, does have quite a bit of poker experience?
Well, I'm certainly going to try and work on my game. I actually have a good friend of mine put me in contact with Jonathan Little, who of PokerCoaching.com, who has already started to coach me. I'm going to be working with him. I'll spend that day in between Tuesday working with Jonathan on my heads up game. I am turning, it happens to be that Wednesday, December 30th, I'm turning 45 years of age. It's my birthday. So maybe I'll have a little bit of luck on my side. It'll be the best birthday present ever. So I will definitely go in confident, but know that Damian is a very accomplished player. He'd be a good challenge, but getting ahead of ourselves, I actually have coming in sixth in chips. So I have about 8% of the chips. I have my work cut out for me to make it that far. So We'll see what happens.
Well, it's cool that you're working with Jonathan Little. We're a big fan of his here at Poker News. He does a weekly strategy column for us. And, you certainly have chosen well for your coach. Now, you are based in New Jersey, and you got to find your way to Las Vegas. And right now there's a pandemic going on, and we all know that the rules of this final table stipulate that if you test positive for COVID, you're not going to be able to play. So I think most players are really taking that very serious and are quarantining or taking special precautions. How about yourself? What's going through your mind in terms of, the COVID situation in this WSOP final table?
Yeah, I'm certainly being very, very careful. I have mostly worked from home since the pandemic began. No one in my family has tested positive, but certainly going to be very, very cautious until I go out to Vegas. I plan on leaving over the weekend, and going to try and be as safe as possible. There are definitely people testing positive all around, so there's no guarantee. It would certainly be very, very disappointing if I tested positive. Just being as careful as possible, knowing that it's not 100% in anyone's control. Just gonna be as careful as I can and hope for the best.
And you mentioned it earlier that you're married, you have 4 children. I got to assume that the family is pretty excited for you, pretty excited to see how their dad does in the WSOP Main Event final table.
Yeah, they're very excited. I think they're most disappointed that it's not going to be broadcast live like it has been in previous years. They're going to be following you on Poker News. That's going to be their source of information. Yeah, they're very excited. My wife and oldest daughter were, in the last couple of hours, were just standing behind me as I was playing, and they were like, just when it finally happened, when the 10th place person busted out, they were like screaming, and I was just staring in shock. I was actually more upset that I had lost some chips on a hand, a few hands before that, where I would have been probably 4th in chips as opposed to 6th. But it was surreal. Still wake up in the morning sometimes just really thinking it's a dream. Can't believe that I'm actually going to be at the final table.
Yeah, it's certainly exciting. And as you mentioned, Poker News will be there to capture all the action. I will be there. I'm heading out. I'm going to have to get tested and all that as well to be within the bubble. I look forward to meeting you in person. And, I'm really going to have my fingers crossed that you do quite well. And not only, for the charities, for all the money for the charities, but because I know you relish the competition and would love a shot at that gold bracelet.
Well, thank you very much, Chad. I really look forward to meeting you as well.
Well, if anyone is looking for some good karma to get that luck going at the final table, I think we know where that's going to sit. Am I right?
I mean, I think it's pretty incredible, really. 100% of his winnings he's going to donate to charity. He didn't talk about the charities. I do know 4 of them that he's identified. One is Minds Matter, which help drive low-income students to succeed in college. There's the NCSY Relief Missions, Yeshad, which is dedicated to enhancing the life opportunities of Jewish individuals with developmental disabilities or other learning challenges. And then Project Sarah, which is stop abusive relationships at home. So there's a little connection there. Sarah, I see you're pretty excited about that.
Wow. I mean, obviously I'm rooting for this guy too, and also starting my own charity called Project Sarah too, or something along those lines for low income poker journalists who are approaching their 40s and having babies and things, just in case, it just depends on what you're into, I guess. Well, I'm super excited to meet him and to see him hopefully be very successful, as that will be beneficial for so many others. Let's talk another name that I didn't recognize, Ron Sam the Dog 76 Jenkins. Either of you familiar?
Cashes on his Hendon Mob date back to the 90s. So he's been around the game for a while. He did cash in the 2008 main, finished in 502nd place. So seems like a guy who loves the game. He's in the tournament scene in LA and in Vegas. And Chad, I don't know if you've been able to get in touch with him.
He is the one guy that so far I have no contact with. I don't have any contact info. Might be, he's just an old school guy. That sounds like he's been around the scene for a while. And sometimes those are the guys that are hard to get in touch with. But I'm going to still keep trying and see if we can't learn a little bit more about this guy. Otherwise, we'll have to wait till the final table to see who he is and get his story.
Well, while we're speaking of waiting, I want to quickly go to a quick break from our sponsors.
Run It Once is a brand new online poker site founded by poker superstar Phil Galfond, who has the player's experience at heart. Run It Once plans to make online poker fun and less predatory while providing ample rewards and innovative features at the same time. All new Run It Once players who download the software via PokerNews are entitled to a 100% deposit bonus worth up to €600. What makes this welcome bonus unique is that you can make as many deposits as you like for that first 30 days after your first deposit. This makes it perfect for those players who do not want to or cannot deposit $600 in one chunk. Be sure to check it out at once.run/pnpod. That's once.run/pnpod.
Arguably the name that I recognized the most, and probably that you guys recognize the most as well, was Upeshka De Silva. He is a bracelet winner. We've seen him all over. I mean, he's been deep in the poker scene for a long time. Part of the Brown Magic, part of the, am I even allowed to say those things? I'm not sure. Part of the, community of really amazing poker players that has been crushing, and I was really excited to see his name on this list. He's also just a really genuine, nice, sweet person. Did you manage to speak to him, Chad?
I did. I was very excited to chat with him, not just for this final table, because he's actually just one of those big name pros, very successful pros that I've never had the opportunity to really sit down and chat with and interview. So I was excited to do that. He was very personable, was very impressed with the interview. And it was great to really talk to him about being the star of this final table, if you will. He's certainly the one most accomplished, the player that we in the poker media and a lot of the fans know the best. And it's not the only final table on his mind, because if you remember, he is at the final table of the WPT LA Poker Classic, the one that was supposed to play out earlier in 2020, but because of the pandemic keeps getting pushed back and is looking to go into 2021 right now. And coincidentally, he's the short stack at that final table as well. And he's not the short stack here, but he's the second shortest stack. And so he's put in a lot of thought over the past year about short stack play at a major final table. And so that's going to come in very useful here, I think, at the WSOP main event final table. But he'll tell you a little bit more about that. Here is my interview with Upeshka De Silva. All right, I would like to welcome a special guest to Poker News, a man at the final table of the World Series of Poker main event, one Upeshka De Silva. thanks for taking the time to chat with me. And how's it feel to be at this yet another WSOP final table, but this one being the main event?
It feels great. You know, I mean, I know it's kind of a weird rendition of the main event, but it's still cool to be there at the 10K freeze final table. So yeah.
I would say you're coming in as one of the shorter stacks, the second shortest stack out of the final 9 players. You got just over 2.1 million. The chip leader has 13 million. And then there's a bunch just kind of grouped up in the middle. Now, a lot of these players don't have the experience that you do, though. So all that taken into account, how are you feeling about your chances?
You know, I feel really good about my chances. I think I have something like 5% of the chips or something like this. So I know realistically I'm a long shot to win. Kind of know how poker works, you know. But I do think that if I get a double up kind of early on, I have a really good chance. And then I'm like, you know, I'll be in the 2 to 5 range, and I think I'll have a really good chance considering my experience edge.
As a 3-time World Series of Poker bracelet winner, you are the star of this final table, if you will. You know, you have the best resume of the remaining 9 players. That said, are you familiar with any of the competition at all?
Actually, I know the players that finished like 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th. I was like really familiar with all of them.
Right.
But coming to this final table, I'm only familiar with the players that, for the most part, that I played with them in this tournament. Maybe if I could look at their handed mobs and kind of get a better feel maybe, but for the most part, it's just what we played in the main event.
Sure. And when you played the main event, the early days were online. Are you in Vegas, or where were you playing from?
Yeah, I was in Vegas.
And now it's kind of an interesting thing, given what's going on in the world. You know, this is the hybrid format. It was played online and live, and now it's switching to the live portion. And of course, there are all these risks during a pandemic of COVID, because if any of the players test positive for COVID, they won't get the opportunity to play. They won't get the shot at the big money. And so we mentioned off air, you know, are you quarantining between now and in the final table?
Yeah, so since I made the final table, I basically haven't left the house. I've been, day 7 now? But yeah, just been trying to take it easy, just like order in food or whatever. And so I'm at the final table of the LAPC WPT tournament that's been delayed. And similar situation where if you get COVID, you kind of get disqualified. However, the WPT gave us the option of making an agreement amongst ourselves. And we kind of came to the agreement that if somebody does test positive, we'll pay them out ICM, at least for the WPT final table, which seemed like fair because you can't really control getting it. You know, you can get it traveling to the casino from wherever you are.
Sure.
So, I mean, I haven't really talked to the WSOP yet about if they're going to give us this option. They haven't really mentioned this yet, but it would be cool. It would be nice. I think it is kind of unfair on the players because, like I said, you know, you can get it so easily. And to put in all this work. I get it from their perspective that it's tough to manage something like this. How else are you going to be able to run it? So I'm not sure what to say, but yeah, hopefully we can come to an agreement.
In terms of that WPT final table that you just mentioned, I'm not too familiar. Is that slated to play out here soon as well?
So we were scheduled to play December 4th, but then I think Poker Go had decided that they didn't want to have any more like televised games or something like this. So then WPT wasn't able to do it, so they had to reschedule. I think for maybe March is what they're aiming for, but there's no definitive date yet.
Sure.
But I guess the WSOP can have it because ESPN's doing it, maybe, or I'm not sure who's broadcasting it.
Sure. Well, you know, it's been a crazy year. 2020 is coming to an end. What's it been like for you? Have you just been not playing a lot of poker? Have you found other ways to play poker? What's it been like for you as a poker pro in this crazy, unprecedented year?
It has definitely been crazy. I started off the year doing really well live, and then my final table was originally April 1st, but that got canceled. And then since then, I'm sure you're aware, online games kind of boomed during COVID. Everybody was at home, so myself included, I think I played more poker this year than I have since like my first year playing. And it's just because there were so many online games. And for the first half of the year, I was kind of a big downer, but I was able to rebound in this last half. And I feel like I got better and learned a lot because poker's changed a lot, obviously, in 2020. And so, yeah, it's been kind of a crazy journey to end up here now at the main event final.
Yeah, it's certainly the whole main event taking place was a little shocking to many of us. The WSOP found a way to do it. Now you're competing for your 4th bracelet. Your first one was 2015 No Limit Hold'em 1500 event. Then 2017 you got a $3,000 No Limit Hold'em shootout title, and then in 2019 was a WSOP.com online knockout bounty bracelet. If you were to go on to win this tournament, let's say you win this final table and you go on to beat Damian Salas heads up in the finale for the extra $1 million in the bracelet, where would you rank this bracelet compared to your other 3?
This bracelet, I mean, definitely would be the coolest, let alone, most amount of money. So that's cool. And then also I have a bone to pick with Damian Salas. He's really gotten the better of me in the last couple of big tournaments we played. And I've really been wanting to get him for some time. So yeah, it would be really, really cool to get this bracelet. Definitely be the first one by far, most important one.
It would certainly be interesting to see you guys go heads up. As I mentioned, you're kind of the player at the final table the poker fans are most familiar with based upon your poker resume. So I'm sure there are a lot of people out there who would also like to see you battling out. But like we said at the beginning of this interview, you have your work cut out for yourself. As the second shortest stack. I want to touch real quick about your journey to the final table. You mentioned that a lot of big name players fell, pretty much from, I don't know what it was, 20th down to 9, a bunch of big names fell by the wayside. You were still there, but what was the journey like? Did you struggle throughout the stretches? Did you just go card dead? Can you give the listeners and viewers a little bit of an overview of your journey?
Sure. So I believe you start with 60K in the tournament, and then after the end of day 1, I ended with like crazy stack, like 1.9 million, like 33 starting stacks. So obviously, really well positioned for day 2. And day 2, the first level, they had to go 3 times. So the first level was like 90 minutes, like well over 100 blinds for most of day 2. But I went kind of card dead, but fortunately the structure was really good. So I was able to just like stay around my stack. I didn't have any too big or too small pots there. And then final 2 tables was the first time I was all in when I had kings against ace jack all in pre, and I won that. And that was, I think, the only time I was all in for the most part. But by then the structure caught up final 2 tables, and everybody's playing like between 10 and 30, 40 bigs or whatever. So I was happy to make it. The guy who got 10th, Anthony Spillane, is a good friend of mine. To see him get 10th would have been really cool to make a final table with a good friend like that. But we got to swap in, so I'm sure he's rooting for me.
Yeah, I actually remember now from the updates, you finished as the day 1 chip leader with 71 players remaining. It's always one of those things we keep an eye out for. How does the day 1 chip leader do? And here you are at the final table with the chance to kind of close it out, which we don't see often from the day 1 chip leaders. And between now and then, it's about a week before, it's exactly 1 week before this final table plays out. I know you're going to quarantine still between now and then, but are you going to be doing anything else planned to get yourself ready for this final table? Any studying, any relaxation planned?
Yeah, I'm sure I'll do a bit of study, and fortunately, because I had that WPT final table where I'm the short stack there as well, I've been kind of studying for the situation for like most of the year basically already, so I'm kind of a bit prepared, to be honest. I do feel there's probably a little bit more work to do, but I think most important, I want to just go in with like a really zen state of mind, Bryn Kenny kind of way, like just feel really zen. And so I'm hoping to maybe meditate, exercise a bit this week, eat good, and yeah, I have to spend this first Christmas away from my mom now. I think this is the first one, but she has 1%, so I think she's okay with it.
And that's great. And before I let you go, your online screen name on WSOP.com when you're playing is Gomezhamburg. Is there any story behind why that's your screen name?
Yeah, so Gomez's Hamburger is actually a constellation like far, far away. It's one of the furthest known constellations. It's 2 planetary discs that look like a hamburger. It's called Gomez's Hamburger. So, but Gomez's Hamburger didn't fit, so I'm Gomez Hamburg.
There we go. Are you like an astronomy aficionado, or like what's the draw to that?
Well, I mean, I just thought it was kind of hilarious that there's a constellation named Gomez Hamburger, you know, and yeah, anybody from that has Asian parents kind of be a bit astrological. Kid, there's no way around that. But yeah, I'm not too superstitious, but you know, it doesn't hurt. It's run good so far, I'll tell you that.
Well, I certainly hope it will carry you through here at the main event final table. I wish you luck there. And if anybody wants to keep on top of De Silva's run in the poker world, follow him on Twitter at Padawan Pesh. That's PADAWAN PESH. Upeshka, thank you for taking the time and good luck, man.
Hey, thanks, Chad. Appreciate it.
All right, and we are finally down to the nitty gritty. Just one player left on our list of 9. Jeff, who do we got?
Goes by Harrison D33 online. Harrison Dobin with about 1.6 million in chips will be the short stack. If those blind levels we mentioned earlier were correct, will be the only player entering the final table with less than 10 big blinds. About 100K as far as Hendemob career earnings are concerned. His best score, he finished 7th in a 1K turbo event this summer online for $22,000. And by stalking his Twitter page, Sarah, I can tell you that he's a big fan of the Gonzaga basketball squad. And the Gonzaga basketball squad, just in case you don't know, Sarah, this is more, you know, to bring Chad up to speed, is absolutely incredible. They are #1 in the country. They are a dominant squad. And that's about all we have on Harrison D33.
Squad. I love it. Love the squad. All right. So Jeff, you mentioned that you are going to also be there, right? This weekend and doing all the, what role are you playing?
My role would be producer of the featured interviews, I guess. So I'll just sit off camera, interview them, except maybe not Cannon, like to Chad's point, if he's uncomfortable with doing the interview, I don't think they have to. So I'll just be asking them questions that they'll use the answers for the ESPN broadcast in a couple months or whenever that may be.
I'm sorry,
so basically,
did ESPN not get the memo about you being?
Yeah, it's like, can I just be on camera? And they're like, no, absolutely not.
Like, okay. Did you guys not hear that Jeff's a
Ask
breakout
him on
star?
this
Like,
list.
you're missing a huge opportunity here. What a bunch of dum-dums. Well, that's fine. Then you don't have to wear your classic suit.
I'm still gonna wear a sport coat. So you know, it's WSOP main event final table. Gotta show some respect to the game. So I think I'll basically be asking them the same questions that you guys are asking them, right?
Oh, I love when we just like circle back around. And then when we do the one where everyone's allowed to ask questions, they'll also go ahead and ask the same questions.
Oh,
so
that'd be great.
The answer will be really
be
refined by the time it gets to the press conference. Okay, Chad, anything you want to add before we let Jeff go? We just barely made it.
Yeah, let's real quick. Each of us pick our winner. Who do we think is going to win? Not necessarily who do we want to win, but who do we think is going to win? And Sarah, why don't you go first?
Why? Why would I have to go first?
Because we're being gentlemen. We're giving you the first pick. Yeah,
okay.
First pick.
Okay. If I have to pick, I'm going to pick Ryan Hagerty.
Okay.
I don't know.
Chad?
It just seems like a good pick.
I am going to go, well, part of me wants to see Tony Yuan with a Wisconsin connection, with Gershon Distenfeld with a charity connection. I love both those things. I'm really going to go with the chip leader, Joseph Hebert. And it's not only because of the chip lead. I love the story that he's really playing for his mother, #for Linda. And I know what it would mean to him if he were to close it out. I think with that motivation and with his chip lead, I think he's going to get the job done.
I don't know why I gave you fools the first 2 picks. That was very dumb on my part. So I got to go now with my guy, Gershon Distenfeld. Going to be a happy Hanukkah throughout the end of 2020. Gershon Distenfeld, he's going to win it all, and then he's going to donate it all to charity. Even Sarah's
Project
new charity
Sarah
can
Part
be
2.
included. Exactly. It's going to be a beautiful thing. Give me Gershon for that World Series.
I was totally going to pick him, but I was like, I don't want to steal that from Jeff. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Like, I don't want to take those things from you.
Respect.
I want you to be able to have those. So, and also I knew Chad was going to go with the easy choice, like the chip leader, right? So Chad could have basically gone first. We knew. All right. Well, I'm super, super stoked to see you guys, of course, in Vegas. And you guys let us know who you think is going to win. Be sure to nominate your homies for the World Poker Tour $3,500 seat giveaway. Let us know why they should win. I'm just crap out of nominations now that I know that Jeff can't go. I don't know anyone else better at poker.
And
Besides Chad.
real quick, Sarah, it's important, I think listeners know that there is no live stream for this WSOP final table. It is going to be recorded for future broadcast on ESPN. So no live stream, but Poker News will be there. We will be doing live updates. We will be doing social media. We will be doing videos. We're going to be your one-stop shop for all things WSOP. So if you want to follow along in real time on December 28th, be sure to follow along here on Poker News.
And even if we are there and they are doing a live stream, I will usually accidentally slip and tweet something that will totally give away what's happening like 30 minutes later on the delay. So just follow at Auntie Chardonnay if you're interested in getting the really inside scoop on what's going on. Follow Chad A. Holloway for all the real legitimate insights, and Jeff A. Platt if you're interested in following the coolest guy to emerge from 2020 in the poker world. You guys are the best. Deuces.
The key to winning big is using every little bit of knowledge to your advantage. At Oddschecker, we give you the edge. Better odds, better picks, and better offers to make you a better bettor. Why settle for less? Quickly compare the odds at every sportsbook to ensure that you're getting the best price to maximize your return. Not only that, but we have experts on every sport, from hoops and football through to soccer and boxing. Our experts analyze the form and study the stats to deliver you totally free picks and parlays. Oddschecker also highlights the most lucrative welcome offers in the industry. If you're looking to open an account, then you are eligible for hundreds of dollars in totally free bets. If you're new to legal sports betting, then we're here to help, offering simple advice to understand betting guides and updates on your state's current legislative situation. Visit us at www.oddschecker.com/US. Oddschecker, sports betting smarter.